host for the Hidden Truths channel. How's everybody doing this morning? All right, let me see if I can turn on a little light, add a little light to this situation. There, maybe that's a little better. Anyway, this morning's live stream is going to be about two different law enforcement strategies. I heard this mayor's, the Seattle police chief say his little stupid spiel, and the sheriff from Broward County, Florida, in his spiel, and tell me which county you'd feel safer in. But anyway, that's what we're going to talk about this morning. I got to wait a little bit for some people to show up, so let YouTube put out the notifications if they will. Not like I'm ever going to get much help from YouTube, but yeah. Hey, how's it going? Good morning. Yep, good day. We're going to have a nice discussion this morning. I tell you what, I was going to talk about Israel and Iran, but after what I watched on YouTube this morning, and it's back to our country being messed up, okay? And when you have two different people that are in charge of law enforcement in a big area, and this is their way of looking at it, I mean, two different ideas. I thought all these cops went to school and got on the same page. But anyway, there's quite the difference in how some of them feel that law enforcement should be done. Some of them make victims of law-abiding citizens, and some make victims of law-breaking citizens. But anyway, I just couldn't believe it. It just got me so upset. Anyway, God darn it, I am in a shadow. See if I can get out here a little bit. You can see me. Yeah, a little dark there. Anyway, or is it my phone acting up? I need a new phone too. But let's get into the subject. Two different law enforcement strategies, okay? And we're seeing this. We all, as law-abiding citizens, understand what the cop's job is. If you're breaking the law, you get hammered down, okay? But what's up, my nigs? That's another thing. Anyway, two different law enforcement strategies, okay? First, let's go on the mayor of Seattle, okay? He's sitting there and saying, if you watched it, that he's going to make sure people have their First Amendment rights, and he might go to jail for making sure that people have their First Amendment rights. I wonder if he believes in Second Amendment rights too. Just a question. So he's going to let the protesting to come into his city and take over because, you know, that police chief is at war with Donald Trump. Okay, crazy time. I mean, isn't Seattle where they had Chaz and Chop, where the protesters actually took over areas of the city? And they were so smart that they planted a garden, all on the mass media, and they thought that they were going to have vegetables the next day. But that's these people. By the way, so the chief of police in Seattle is basically saying to all you Seattle citizens, all you law-abiding Seattle citizens that love this country and feel that Donald Trump is doing the right thing by getting rid of the illegals and doing his job and enforcing the law, you know, all you guys, all you people can become victims now because we got a bunch of people that are going to be all upset about stuff. And he's going to allow it. Chaz and Chop again. Really? You know, if you're a cop, if you don't want to do your job because you feel sorry for this group of people or whatever, then you shouldn't be a cop, especially chief of police. How is that making the law-abiding Trump supporter in Seattle safe? You know, if you believed in the Second Amendment, I'd feel a lot safer, okay? I tell you what, with this whole immigration thing, this is what they need to do. All us vets and patriots, especially as vets, since we are definitely qualified with weapons and stuff, Put a bounty on all these illegals' heads. A bounty, $1,000 a piece. You get them, grab them, take them to the staging area. We'll give you $1,000. They did that to all the vets that are in this country. I know a lot of people like to have fun with it too, but let's just say the vets. They would all be running home because we all know where they're at. And then the government just has to pick them up from an area and take them down the border and get rid of them. I mean, there's ways of getting rid of them without having to send 700 Marines into LA. Although, me being a Marine, always over in foreign soil fighting wars. Boy, it's going to be easy fighting a war on our own soil. By the way, get back to the Seattle police chief. So this is his idea. He's going to let the mostly peaceful protests come to his riots. That's a good word for it. They're not protests and riots, they're riots, okay? That's the new term that Hidden Truths channel came up with. We're dealing with riots, okay? So he's going to let the riots come up there and take over, and we'll have maybe the whole city of Seattle can be a Chaz and Chop. I mean, I was out in Seattle in the early '90s and stuff. Well, not in Seattle. I lived by Wood Beyond. I was stationed out at the Navy base there. But I went to Seattle, and it was interesting. Okay, especially the bums in the street. Anyway. It was a sick city back then. And after 30 years, I'm sure it's just gone downhill way more. But anyway, so this police chief in Seattle really saying he don't care about enforcing the laws for the safety of Trump supporters and people that like America. So he's going to sit there and let the riots, the peaceful riots, go on. Okay, but then that's one philosophy, and then I'm going to go to jail for this. Like these people are going to war with Donald Trump. They need to realize the people that voted for him demanded that he clean this country up. We get rid of the illegals, not just the hardened criminal ones, because they're all criminals as soon as they come in. Get rid of them. They're not helping the country out. There's laws that need to be enforced. Okay, but Seattle police chief is willing to let his city get just like LA. Crazy time. When are the good people going to stand up and take their cities back? This is what I don't understand. When does a good person allow themselves to be pushed around like this? If I was in LA, I'd be with all my neighbors. And maybe it's the Marine in me, but I'd be organizing community security reactionary teams. And then once I got my neighborhood organized, I'd be organizing the next neighborhood. They want to have their community organizers destroy our country. I guess we need community organizers on our side to secure our country. Protesting, waving the Mexican and El Salvadorian and Palestinian and flag and shit. Are you kidding me? That's why when you look at these things on feeds, it doesn't even look like it's the United States. Anyway, but then we go to Florida, and now we got a sheriff of Broward County. I think that's the county it was in. I don't remember his name either. But his philosophy on it. Now, you tell me if you'd feel safe. Now, I just told you about Seattle and let the riots go, the peaceful riots. Riots, that's what I'm going to call them now. Or you go to Brevard County in Florida. Anybody hear what that sheriff had to say? Don't go there and protest, I'll tell you that. Well, he said peaceful protest. He don't have a problem with that. But you start getting out of hand, you're going to get arrested. You don't follow lawful order, you're going to get arrested. Okay? You're going to spit on a police officer, throw something at him. You're going to go to the hospital, and then you're going to jail. See, he said this. Reminded me of Sheriff Grady Judd. Not afraid to say it. You're looting, going after the cops with bricks, stuff that can hurt them. You'll be graveyard dead. He said that. How much trouble do you think they're going to have with rioters in that county in Florida, or Florida at all? You may have a few in Miami and stuff, but see, this country's going to get rid of this shit. Now, if you were a citizen in Florida, hearing sheriffs talk like that, let's say you had daughters and your wife, and they wanted to go out shopping to the mall tomorrow on June 14th, you'd feel pretty safe knowing that these rioters, peaceful rioters, don't have the balls to come out and take on real American citizens that know their constitutional rights, love their country, and love their family, and know what they have the right to defend it. The governor of Florida said, hey, they get in front of your car, run them over. It's their responsibility. See, it's another thing. Bring back common sense. Protesting is one thing, but you think you're going to stand in front of a moving vehicle? I got a 3/4 ton 1991 Ford with the 460 and 4-wheel drive. I'm going to mow your ass over. Why don't you sit there and hold your hand on a hot stove while standing in front of the vehicle? These people are so stupid. But, you know, Florida ain't going to put up with this shit. They're not going to allow Jacksonville or Orlando to become like LA. They're going to get the beat down. But see, these people won't even show up because they thought, oh, an area that ain't going to put up with this shit. We're going to go to an area that is going to put up with this shit, okay? They'll never come out here. These pansy-ass pussies will never come out here, okay? Like I say, I live in an area where I don't have to lock my house. I don't have to take the keys out of my vehicle. Every stranger in this area is noticed immediately and watched. Maybe not by the cops, because the cops have a lot of the people's help. And I work 2.5 hours north of here right now on a job I'm doing. And it's even more secure than this area. It's hard to believe, huh? Leave for 10 days at a time and don't even have to lock my house when I live in the country. How the hell is that possible? Yeah, there's places like that still exist in this country because they have sheriffs like the ones in Florida. And we have 5 cops total in this county. 1 sheriff, 3 deputies, and 1 state trooper that takes care of three counties. That's all we have for cops. Now, if this was normal USA, well, it still would be dangerous, see, because everybody here understands the Second Amendment. You ain't going to come here and make problems. See, when Americans start standing up for ourselves, we start taking our country back, okay, we need to be backing the cops. And in areas where the cops ain't doing their job, then we need to do it. I mean, if you're at work, right, and a job needs to get done, and it's not getting done, and let's say you're responsible as American citizens, we are responsible for our country, and the job's not getting done, and you're in charge, who ends up doing it? You got to make sure it gets done. You're responsible. Even though you don't want to do it, because those other slobs didn't do it, you're responsible. Well, it ain't no different than taking our streets back. It's all the same. But I tell you what, when you have 2 different strategies on how law enforcement is supposed to be done between the Seattle police chief, who's willing to go to jail so these rioters, peaceful rioters, can have their First Amendment rights. And the Trump supporters aren't allowed to use their Second Amendment rights to defend themselves. It's just, like I say, if these cops aren't willing to do their jobs, even if they don't agree with the law, you're a cop, okay? You take an oath too. And you got to protect that citizen that you don't agree with just as strongly as you protect that citizen that you agree with. It doesn't matter. Your personal beliefs don't matter no more. But if you're willing to go to jail, flat out saying, yeah, I'm breaking the law, I know it, I'm not going to cooperate, and I'm going to let the riots, the peaceful riots go, okay? And, you know, because he wants to make sure that the illegals have all their constitutional rights. See, they're not even teaching the right stuff. Illegals don't have constitutional rights. especially if you come here illegally, okay, and break the law coming here. I mean, it's just all crazy time. But see, people don't think with common sense no more. And then these people are coming to a country where they hate whitey, hate white culture. It's worse than the country they came from, but they come here to live a better life. So obviously we're living a better life than they are, and they're mad at us. Well, we're living the better life we are because of the spirit that the people had back in the day, and we're losing that spirit. Okay, we're losing that, but they got covered wagons and crossed the prairie to go to California to make a better life. They didn't go to California to destroy it and exploit the people that were there. They went there to make a better life for themselves and make California a better place. Which one of these rioters, peaceful rioters, are trying to make California better for themselves? Anyway, I'm glad we got parts of the country that are like where I live, where we ain't going to put up with it. And like I say, we don't have many cops here, but we have plenty of citizens and plenty of vets that don't have a problem, that don't have the same handcuffs on us that vets do. That cops do. I mean, we can solve the problem. Like I say, put a bounty on all the illegal sets, all of them. $1,000 bounty. Man, I'm going to be able to take the next 3 years off after 2 weeks of work. If the cops ain't going to do their job, I had to talk with the sheriff in this county. We got about taking our oaths and stuff. It's talking about me being in the service and him being in the deal, and as sheriff, and talk about the oaths we took to protect and defend. He started getting on me about things. I said, "Oh, really? Law abider, what laws are you, he's talking about when they stop, the interstate runs through the county. And he talks about when they stop a car full of illegals or whatever, they got to let them go because INS wouldn't show up. And he said years ago, they call and INS would be right there. But still, so when Trump says the border's closed and the laws are being enforced, that's bullshit. From my own sheriff's mouth, that's bullshit. INS still doesn't show up and haul them away. Unless that's changed over the last 30 days. And I got onto him. I said, okay. I said, if you're enforcing all the laws, I said, how many illegals do we got living in this county right now that you ain't doing nothing about? And he got real quiet. All I know is, as an American citizen, I have to follow all laws or I get punished to the fullest extent of the law. And, we're required everything from getting in your car, wearing a seatbelt, to what kind of light bulbs you're allowed to use in your house. Time to put an end to this shit. Time to meet force with force. Okay, like I made a video about call to arms. Because these people, this is all the military-age men that we saw coming in through the border with no dependents. Remember all those military-age men that were coming in? And we wondered, well, that's awful strange. Well, guess what? We're dealing with them now. They're at war with this country. They want to destroy and take over. They want to destroy the Constitution and the American patriot and take over this country. Because you got to remember, there's at least a third of this population of this country that would gladly invite these people in. Okay, as long as they still had their cell phones in front of them. Anyway, allow a criminal, Al Capone, to come into their neighborhood. As long as Al Capone kept sticking a cell phone in their face. Anyway, but I'm glad I'm not out there in Washington anymore. Last time I was out there was in Spokane, and that was back in 2021, which would have been about, 20-some years since I'd driven through there last, and it's changed. It's really changed. But, we can't put up with this as a country. And this is the thing you liberal Democrats don't understand. If you are an American citizen, it doesn't matter what your political affiliation is. They look at you as the enemy, okay? When they talk about Americans, imperialistic, military become imperials, taking over the world and stuff. And I'm not saying that our foreign policy has been on the up and up, especially for the last 100 years, okay? But that's the American citizens' problem to take care of that, okay? And we are, but see, now we got to deal with this military that was brought in here. But I'm glad, like I say, you guys go to Brevard County in Florida, see how you're greeted. Go to Sheriff Grady Judd's county there in Florida by Tampa. See how you're welcomed. Come out here and see how you're welcomed. We see the weak points in this country. The weak points in this country are where all the riots are happening, where the weak mayors are at, where the states where the weak governors are at, where the weak police chiefs are at. Okay? These people are cowards. They'll sit there and form up and kind of start throwing bottles, but once the cops take one step forward, they would start running back 10 steps every time. They're like a child that needs to be spanked and showing their limitations. Hey, you've gone too far, you're going to get punished for this. But the thing is, we're not dealing with 5-6-year-old child because they weren't disciplined at that age. We're dealing with adults. Anyway, and the adults need to take over and calm the household. And if that means people need to be put in serious timeouts, just kick them back to their country. $1,000 bounty on every illegal's head. Go get them, American citizens. Don't harm them, but all you got to do is have 4 guys. And then if they don't want to give up, fine. All you got to do is identify them. If you don't want to leave your house, fine. Call ICE up. They come to the house. They give you your $10,000 because there's 10,000 people in the house. And you walk out and they all get arrested and deported. See, if we would do something simple like that, money drives everything, right? We'll make it profitable for people to turn these sons of bitches in and get rid of them. And it'd be a lot cheaper on us. Start putting Americans to work. We need them because they need to pick our crops and raise our food. Well, I'm sick of that shit from these politicians saying that, or these rich bitches. You know what? I work in the egg industry, and I don't have a problem picking any type of food, wherever it grows, or raising any type of livestock, whatever the hardships that I have to endure, the cold or the heat because of it, and all the jobs that come with it. So you're going to sit there and say, I'm living a demenial life because I do manual labor and enjoy it? The nice thing about it is I got job security. People don't come out and do it. You can't even get illegals to do what I do. I'm out in those pastures fencing. You watch some of my shorts, I'm having a great time. I'm out in God's country, communing with nature. Not a telephone pole, not a road, not a vehicle, not nothing, except fence line and openness. And then I sit there and got to watch this stuff. I got to admit, the people where I live, we don't understand this. Like I say, I don't have to lock my house, people. I don't have to pull the keys out of my vehicle. I can leave for 2 weeks at a time and don't have to lock my house. And nothing's disturbed because you know what? Here we all band together. Citizens watch out for other citizens, whether we agree with them politically or not, because we all know they're Americans. I don't like Trump or illegal immigrants. You don't have to like Trump. You're an American. You have to like America. Nowhere in the Constitution does it say you have to like the president. He's a freaking politician, for crying out loud. Why do you think we're having these problems? Why do you think we're $37 trillion in debt? Because of politicians. And all this side, well, if you don't agree with this side, then you must be, I hate saying I'm obviously not a liberal, but the first thing the liberals say is, oh, you're a Trump supporter. Who the hell said that? I'll tell you what, some of us are older. And some of us remember Donald Trump in the public eye before he ever got into politics, like back in the 80s, okay? I didn't like him back then. But between Kamala Harris and Donald Trump, he's the better option. And the thing is, maybe if they would stop fighting him on everything and give him some time to get something done instead of him always having to fight his first 4 years with nothing but bullshit scandals that the Democrats made up and nothing got done. Okay? But, you know, he prevented us from getting to war with Iran. But I guess that's pretty much went out the window now, hasn't it? Okay, but we need to start knocking some freaking heads. All you men out there, especially you vets and you patriots that got families, it's time to start knocking some freaking heads. And like I said, we're waiting for permission from the government to do what we have the right to do. Okay, you don't have to be in the military to defend your country. If you come up on a situation where emergency's happening and you have to act to save people's lives, okay? Do you have to wait for permission from somebody to do it? Or do you just act? You get up and act and do the human thing. Okay, just because this is not a fast-growing, well, it's a fast-growing situation, but it is an emergency situation, it's just we don't see it that way. But it's time to act. Okay, you got the Marine Corps in LA protecting government buildings. They don't have the right to arrest and stuff, which is fine. But then let's send out the vets and the patriots to come out and do what the military can. You know, I'm not restricted by any code in the military no more. No Geneva Convention. I'm not restricted by that no more. I'm allowed to defend myself without any rules. So, you know, we just need to take our streets back. We need to show the world again what the strong American is instead of this Governor Newsom. Oh, and then this, I'm going to do my live stream on this tonight, but this stupid calling Trump a king. Okay? Okay. The Democrats can't have their democracy, so now all of a sudden, Trump is a king. He's acting like a king. Okay, the king of this country is the Constitution of the United States. What's underneath that is the people of the United States, the American citizen. Isn't just Newsom just a politician as well? Yeah, he's the governor of fucking California, okay? Nancy Pelosi's nephew. Don't see how that could have went bad at all. But yeah, you know, he supports illegals over his own citizens. There's more law-abiding citizens in California than there are liberals and the people that are causing this hate and discontent. Organize, people, organize. And don't do it in private. Do it in open. See, this is the thing. We need to organize in an open fashion so everybody knows what's going on, so everybody's getting the message. Hey, these people are starting to organize. They might be really starting to get pissed off. Maybe we need to change our ways. Governor Newsom needs to be in Alcatraz. All these politicians like Jasmine Crockett, you name it. And the state politicians, that was out, I don't understand where people can see what's going on and tell me it's something different. Okay, so now we have BLM, Black Lives Matter, right? But also the riots are burning, they're looting, and they're finding dead bodies in these stores that have been looted. So now we got the murdering. BLM all over again. Does it actually have to be at your front door before you have the attitude like the sheriff? Come on, you guys. Before you have the attitude like the people and the sheriffs in Florida? Does it have to affect you like that before you wake the hell up? Do you actually have to see combat to know that it's a bad thing? Is that what you people want to see? Because these people in the streets that are taking over these soft city areas because they have pussy-ass politicians, well, it's going to be at your front door. Organized security reactionary forces, security details. That's what needs to happen. Okay, because these cops are gonna, and it's another thing. If this spreads to 100 to 150 cities, and we have to put 2,000 troops in each one of these cities to quell the violence, we ain't got that. We ain't got enough troops. So eventually it's going to fall on the American patriot and the American vet who isn't in uniform to stand up and do their part. You'll be foaming at the mouth soon. Shit, I ain't even mad. See, this is the thing. You guys call this upset? People that have seen me extremely upset and extremely agitated and really ready to go say my eyes glow red. Okay, all I know is everything that we fought over on foreign soils is here now. And I'm more than motivated when it comes to fighting on my own soil. More than motivated. Well, I got a few people in here. If you'd hit the thumbs up and subscribe to this channel, I appreciate it. I'm trying to get it to grow because we got a whole shitstorm coming on. And these social media platforms are just blocking the truth from getting out. They'll spread all this other garbage that's going on. Peaceful protests, people are dying, whatever. They'll spread the lies. We need help spreading the truth, okay? All the conservative channels, anybody trying to spread the truth on social media, because they're coming down on us hard. And right now, you people come to social media because you ain't got the news no more. The news don't care. They got an agenda. They're propaganda paid for by the government, okay? And other industries that you see a lot of commercials on their channels a lot. But this is all we got, the simple American. That's all who's left. The simple people that created this nation is all we got left. You sound nuttier than a Snickers bar. Riots in LA are the same as riots at the Capitol. What riot at the Capitol? Oh, you mean the January 6th protest? Okay. And then what happened? If they're the same, if they are the same, and let's go with that logic, January 6th and LA are exactly the same. Okay. What happened to the people on January 6th, to the little old lady that got escorted to the Capitol? All right, solitary confinement for years in the Washington, D.C. Bastille or Gulag or whatever you want to call it, right? For trespassing, being forced to take the feces in their cell. Is this the same? How long did it take the Biden administration to round up all these people? Not very goddamn long, did it? And then we all sat down there for 4 years and got called traitors, terrorists, threatened with nuclear weapons, F-16s, and Hellfire missiles. Right? Well, we're being led by an incompetent piece of shit that shit in his pants in Normandy. Now, the royal family, I think that was kind of comical. Shit's pants, they're good. They can smell the shit they're dealing with. It's just the same, huh? Well, I hope that same thing comes right to your door. I hope that if you have a dog, I shouldn't say this, but there's lots of families out there that are feeling pain, that have lost loved ones because of the same thing of January 6th. You know what? You pieces of garbage on the other side don't understand. Okay, I'm a vet, a Marine Corps vet. You think I'm nutty? You have no idea how nutty I can get. And when it comes time, when we feel that we've been pushed enough, where we come out on the street, we're going to solve the problem. And you're going to know what fear is. And you're going to understand, hey, I might have pushed that person around too much, and now I'm going to get my just rewards. And I tell you what, if the government don't want to do it, we put Trump in office to solve this problem. And if he ain't going to solve it and you ain't going to let him do it, we are going to do it. Do you understand? It is going to get solved. My children and my grandchildren are not going to grow up in this shit. I'm sick of my grandson having to go to school with litter boxes in his room because you got 2 kids in there that think they're furries. You think I'm upset? I've been watching the destruction of this country for years. Ever since I got out of the Marine Corps in 1994, my eyes were wide open. When you come from going to do what I did, to come back into the United States and see us come a bunch of spoiled little pussies and all this retarded shit that's been pushed, yeah. It's amazing. A Marine that gets upset. Holy shit, what is that? And you little skateboard Call of Duty warriors want to take us on. This thing, vets, and all you citizens of America, do you think the government owns the stuff on the bases, all our military equipment? No, we do. We paid for it. We know how to run the equipment, all of it. Okay, we can go to these military bases, take them over, and go to war with our own government with the equipment we bought that we can run. And all of us know what we got between our legs. I have the attitude that sheriff in Florida has. You're going to fuck around and find out. You know, this country's been led and soft by some really weird people the last 4 years. Well, for a while, this country's gotten soft and allowed lawlessness to keep going, and nobody does anything about it. Does a damn thing about it. And if you stand up for it, like during Biden, you have to worry about a 6 a.m. no-knock raid by the FBI shooting you down. We don't have that no more. But there's people, oh God, put a bounty on their head. Donald Trump, just let the American citizen take care of this shit. Put $1,000 bounty on all the illegals' heads. Have areas where we can bring them to, and we'll get rid of them. And if we can't get them, we know where they're at. We'll surround the house, not let them out, call an INS, and we'll get rid of these sons of bitches. But they put a bounty on and let the American citizen start taking care of this problem. They will vanish. Is this you doing something about yelling and screaming at a camera? Yeah. Are you watching? If this ain't doing something, then obviously what they're doing in LA ain't doing nothing, because at least I'm not burning my grove down behind me. You know, this is the thing the average civilian doesn't understand, okay? You don't understand how high-strung service members are. Okay, we're a tight band. Doesn't matter that you're out. Your rubber band just wraps so tight all the time. That's why I work so hard. I will have all this energy and stuff ready to go. Always in standby position. Always keeping myself on alert, ready to go. Why? For the time that we're needed. I always said that a lot of us that did what we did, you know, I haven't been adapted to the civilian world that good because I am a little, you know, what they turned us into. They should have put us all on an island somewhere so we could all live in our foxholes and had a thing break glass in case of emergency and then brought us out. Okay? I'm scarred. No shit. But do you want to be scarred like I am? Or would you rather people like us come out, solve the problem, so you ain't got to sit there and deal with now the real world in our country because our politicians invited it in? You know, I've been in areas in the world where I'm just a little nobody. I'm not even excitable. You know, yeah, but I can turn into Alex Jones if you want me to. You know, you want to sit there and have fun together, hey, play a game of pool, I'm all for it. But if you want to sit there and play with the tiger, hey, the tiger's willing to come out and play a little bit. I don't give a shit. You don't want him caged no more? This is the type of person it takes to go on the front line and do this. Make sure you can live in your safety. This is what they turn into. So you don't have to. You don't have to understand me. You don't have to appreciate me. You just have to let me fill my purpose in society. Since, the first job I had when I got out of high school, not that I didn't have jobs in high school, I was a farm boy, was in the Marine Corps, in the infantry, traveling the world, seeing what the world was really like. So all you guys that don't understand it, just take a vacation to a third world country and walk down the neighborhood where people are shooting at each other. Be like, oh my God, this is like LA. I see what he means. But we ain't got no cops here. Anyway, I don't see Florida having a problem with this. Woo! And I don't see us having a problem with it out here. See, there's still Americans out here that are not going to put up with that shit. It's still our country. And you ain't going to come here and try to protest and wave some other country's flags and be an absolute moron. And anybody in these cities who's a law-abiding citizen and an American and wants to support their other law-abiding American citizens, their neighbors, no matter what they think, they all need to bond together. Organize publicly. Put some fear of God in these other pieces of shit. Make them see the army they're going to be facing. Anyway, that's all I got for now. But tonight we're going to talk about on my live stream, if you want to be there, 8 o'clock Mountain Time, around that time, is this tomorrow and against the king. I still don't know who the king is because nobody elects a king. A king is appointed. But anyway, let's also remember, all you people that want to go on King Day, that we did want to make a king once, and that person turned it down. The greatest president we ever had. That would have been George Washington. Okay? We almost followed the French Revolution. And after their revolution, they installed Napoleon as their emperor. We almost went the king route because the Americans wanted to be taken care of. And thank God we had a great man that said, no kings in this country. Everybody is welcome to the country, but can come the right way. Yeah, the right way. Because, see, this is the thing. When you come the right way, the legal way, there's a difference between them and the illegals. One major difference. You come in here legally, you come here because you want to be an American. That's the difference. You come here illegally, it's because you don't want to be an American. Anyway, that's as easy as it's put. Anyway, that's all I got for till this evening. Everybody have a great day. Enjoy your day. Hopefully you're not one of these cities tearing it apart, but if it is, band together and take your city back. Anyway, that's all I got till tonight. This is Tom. I'm out.